In your book, Becoming a Healing Presence, you have a chapter entitled Gentleness as a Mindset. Gentleness is not something that's often discussed in sermons or theology books, but it seems to be a very important, maybe should be much more a common theme. So why did you make it a chapter in your book?
And I'll articulate it as best I can. But, Jesus said of himself, learn of me, for I'm meek and gentle of heart, however that gets translated. And I talk a lot in class about active listening and define active listening as love delivered. And it is. But I would now, how do I say, use that language for gentleness. I think gentleness is love delivered. And frankly, I think in our culture, in our parishes, in Orthodoxy and all over, I think gentleness is sometimes present, mostly not. We're much more, in fact, I had someone say to me recently, you're being very indifferent. Well, that might be kind of the opposite of gentle. It's like gentle is certain softness, it's certain availability, it's a certain healing presence that somebody knows. I mean, you just know if you're talking to somebody, if you're connecting, bonding at some deeper level, or if they're blowing you off and being indifferent or whatever it is. So as I didn't go back and read that chapter after your question, but for me, gentleness simply is how do I say, operational definition of how I'd like to be. Now, of course, I'm not gentle. I can be gentle sometimes. And some students will say that to me. I was with my son and his wife and their two little children last night, overnight, and they say that. But it takes an effort. There's a certain children of Adam and Eve inclination to, let's get on with things, let's do some problem solving, let's make this definable so that my time with you has some clear expletive outcome. We're an outcome delivered people, Western culture. So I don't have a whole lot to say about gentleness except that I consider it pretty synonymous with meekness. To the extent that we can, with each other. I think at least as a mindset, it's something that we can talk about more, can encourage each other more, can model more as best we can.
So in the same book, you have a chapter on vocation. And I was wondering if you could talk about what you mean by vocation and then what role vocation plays in the life of an Orthodox Christian.
Surely. For me, vocation doesn't mean career, and it doesn't mean monolithic, linear thing I do my lifetime. Rather, vocation is a day-by-day unfolding of what the Lord has for me to do. So some people, upon adulthood, do the same thing their whole lifetime. My dad. But some people, like me, do one thing and then another thing. I was a high school guidance counselor and so on and so on. So that's not vocation, whatever word we would use for that. Vocation is my awareness of my existence on this planet this day as given by God with a purpose. So vocation is purposeful living with a purpose. And my purpose is trying, as best I can, to ask the Lord, hey, what is it you want me to do now? And that now changes with each new now. And then doing the best we can with that. And at the end of the day saying, I'm not perfect. There are a lot of weak spots in my day, but trying to do the best I could with what I had. That's where, so it's all about Christ It's about him who lives in me. And I'm much more aware these days of that whole mysterious world as, for me, given by my little reading of Father Stanilu, the Romanian theologian who died not too long ago, who says, I mean, it's clear theology. I live not I, but Christ lives in me. Divine indwelling, however we understand that. But Father Stanilu takes it to a whole new level for me. I forget exactly how it says, but he says there is a dialogue, Christ in me. So Christ lives through my thoughts, moods, and behaviors. Well, it's not new. But for me, it means I'm a host. I am, some fathers talk about you, believers, are the Holy of Holies. We contain Yahweh, as the Holy of Holies did then, in Yahweh's fullness. I received the entire Yahweh on Sunday. So in that sense, I embody Jesus. And when I touch my cup, but it's he who's touching it as well. And in some sense, it's he who's touching the cup, and I'm allowing him. Do with my body and my thoughts and my moods. And, it says that Christ was tempted in every way. So he was tempted toward despondency and fatigue and tempted to gossip and all the rest. We all have those temptations. So understanding that unity more has just been helpful in my little world. I live alone, so I have a lot of time to try to pray and think about these things. So my vocation is to try, to the extent that I can, to become more of a host, more of a conduit. And I have some metaphors I use for myself about this. So for me, and it's such a mystery, we'll never comprehend it. Father Hapka says union without confusion. He in me, me in him, one, but yet separate. But I think of it even in terms of like the dark side. A possessed person in the Bible was not doing those things himself. He wasn't beating himself with stones, but there was a force inside him doing those things. Well, taking that to its positive side, there's a positive force in me doing what I'm doing now and before this with a student, which is really the same sort of thing. It's him doing some good through me, thank you, Lord, and then not getting any credit, mental credit for it. Oh, well, you did such a good day. No, I let him have a good day through me. For me, that's a very subtle, delicate, but vital mental transformation from egotism to much more of a Christian point of view, something like that. Back to vocation. So that's what vocation is trying to live a life as best I can, allowing him to live through me and do what he does through me and get chilly when it's cold outside and all the rest, because he's here with me.